So I got a pair of Holley carburetors side by side, both 600s, both 40160s. To the right is an emissions carburetor. This is a reverse idle. 80453 is the list number on it. And this is 1850-2. This is extremely common. This is extremely universal. Holley made a ton of these. This is probably one of the most common carburetors probably in the world. And you see how the list number says 1850-2? Look at the list number on this emissions carb, 9254. So this is an 80453 carburetor. So those numbers mean nothing. So right off the bat, if you want a parts breakdown of this carburetor, you look it up on the chart. Super easy to find, top of the list. Scrolling all the way down, you find the 80453 number, but it has nothing to do with the list number. So right off the bat, these are weird, right? And it gets weirder, and I'll explain. So the good news with these carburetors, and the good news, fortunately for me, I rebuilt this whole carburetor, ran it on my truck, and had a lean condition. There's something evil going on in here. I think a fuel restriction, something going on. But I'm done playing around because all this has been redone. Everything, even the base plates, so throttle shafts, have all been redone. New bushings, everything good, nice, tight, and everything's been redone. So all of this can be reused. Vacuum secondary, floats, base plate, everything can be reused and it's transferable. So I'm going to take all of this stuff and put it onto the 1850-2 and get me a standard Holley out of this. So differences with these start with, well, brass nubby. So main body, see the brass nubby? There's an O-ring at the top, O-ring inside of here. This whole brass piece pops out. You change your O-rings. Over here, this looks a little more familiar. Now this is the straight up cast piece, right? So as far as gaskets go, this is this gasket the 1850 takes. And this is our emission carb gasket. It's got a cutout for here. Other than that, all of these passages, all of these holes are exactly the same. I actually took one of these gaskets and cut that semicircle out to make this work. So again, these work differently, but it's deceptively similar, and it makes my brain itch my brain hurt for a while. But so these are reverse idle. You turn these in for rich and out for lean. And this here, idle, this is where your idle screw, and this is your transfer slot. So this well feeds both technically, but they're separate, and I'll show you with a light. On a traditional Holley, again, see the passages are the same, but this is fuel, this is fuel. This is air, this is fuel, okay? And if you look, the screw comes into both, so it's, I'm assuming a little bit of fuel can get in here, but I don't know enough. The other thing is these screws for a reverse idle Holley, the tip is blunt. So it's not nice, fine, sharp. It's a steeper taper on it, and then it's got a dull tip. It's not such a fine, sharp tip. So there's that, okay? So, and how that works is I'll flip this over while I'm on topic. So if we flip this around, and we'll flip this one around, and we're looking at our primary bores here, right? If you look here, see these holes here? I'm going to use my pointer so my big stupid finger doesn't mess with the thing. Hole, hole. See these two holes? Okay, those are air passages. And you see here, on our traditional Holley, there are no air passages. There's nothing. Okay, so let's flip these back around and shine a light in here. And shine some light into something that, there's not a lot of information on these carburetors. And there's a lot of misunderstanding, and I had a lot of people suggesting that I start drilling and tapping the metering block and these passages and those passages, and yeah, I'm not getting into that. Not with this stuff. So here we go. This is our emissions carburetor. So we shine a light in. You see the light coming out? Okay. The same on this side. Those are those two holes. Those are those air passages I was showing you. Okay, same here. See the light? Now, if I go here on our standard Holley, no air. Okay, no air. No light, no air. No air passages. So, again, we had air here, we had air here. We have air on our idle screw controlled passage, and we have fuel and emulsified air in our transfer. This is for our transfer slot idle. So air, fuel. Okay, we come over here, we have fuel, and watch if I flip this around. You see right here, this is our tube coming down here. This is for our transfer, and it runs our transfer slot, but then it bumps around to our idle screw. It jumps around the backside. If I flip this around, the passage looks exactly the same, but it's not. So again, these look identical in every way, damn near, but they're not. They work fundamentally different. So trying to correct a lean condition, which I was having in this carburetor, was nuts. You know, it finally got down to just putting copper wires in the air bleeds to restrict them. But then what happened is my transfer slot circuit was really rich. And the idle finally was pretty decent. But the screws did next to nothing. And as soon as you tipped in on part throttle, especially my truck's in overdrive, so as soon as when you're in overdrive, you tip in on it and there's a good load on the engine, not much throttle input, you're relying heavy on your transfer circuit, and when it's way rich, no power. You know, it's they call lean bog, rich bog, whatever. I don't know what the difference is, but I tell you this much, lean is almost like an electrical problem. Like lean, everything goes away. It just falls right on its face. There's a complete, it goes away. With a rich condition, it feels like you're in mud. You know, like your engine's fighting through all the extra fuel. And knowing that, if you're new to this, you'll pick that up. But to tune this out was virtually impossible. And then we'll get into even deeper on this. So here's our emulsion tubes here. And you see our passages for our emulsion. There's nothing in here on our emission carburetor. We got a teeny one here and a bigger one up here. This is cast shut, that's cast shut. So you see? Now let's go over to our traditional Holley here. We have passage, we have passage, we have passage. So we've got 3 good sized passages here. Okay. This is cast shut and these are cast shut. So same, but different. And this is the same, of course. This is the same. So same, but different. And the more I get it, anyway, I haven't found a lot of information on these carburetors at all. I find more misunderstanding than anything else. I hear a lot of horror stories of people giving up. I figured I would be the one to turn the tide. But again, I had issues and I couldn't, I'm just out of patience, out of time, and I ain't resolving it. And the more I learn about this system, the more I really don't like it. Primarily these idle screws. Maybe if I'm bored one day, I'll get back into this. But like I said, the only thing I can think of at this point, there is a problem with this metering block. Everything else has been cleaned out, and the only thing I haven't done is pull these caps and pull the tubes out and get down into the idle well with a 22 caliber rifle brush and really clean. The only thing I can think of is that somewhere down in the bottom of these passages here, down in here, is some shit, because this carburetor did sit a long time. But and then also with the lack of, these allow you to get in and clean and flush a lot better. Okay, this does not help. So that led me to thinking that maybe there's some shit in around ski right here, just kind of holding shit up. And you'd find it down, probably, I got in where the jets are though, but probably something in here is restricting. But again, who knows? And for what it's worth, I'm done trying to mess around. And this way, I have I have a metering block that I can run, and if I want to get crazy and start, thread tapping passages and putting restrictors in and really dialing in the air fuel and trying to make this thing as efficient as possible, which was the actual goal. The chances of finding a metering block to work with an 1850 is way better odds than, fucking around with this. So I'm done fucking around with this. We're going to put this, and I have the metering plate for this main body, this carb, everything ready to go onto this base plate, and put our floats, everything back in and go. So that's the plan. And again, I haven't seen a lot of people side by side these carburetors, and there's more misinformation and more misunderstanding with this. And again, I've had a lot of comments where people were really quick to chime in and say to drill and restrict, and like, oh, if you restrict here, it's there. And then, that's a whole lot of time and effort into something that I believe has a fundamental problem somewhere in it. And I ain't going there. So anyway, like, follow, subscribe. There's a whole lot of stuff like this where ain't never seen it before. So I've never seen a mission carburetor up against a regular carburetor. It's reverse idle against standard. And there's a whole lot of just wacky stuff that I've done with the truck of mine, from gauges to wiring to just opposite against the grain kind of YouTube content that you usually see. So anyway, like, follow, subscribe. I could use the support. Thanks, man.